It's time for Market Explainer, your number one business news podcast. Hosted by Danny and the big man. And it starts right now.
So YouTube is reportedly, we are in a burgeoning industry where people are throwing cash at podcasts, except they're not throwing cash at our podcast. They're throwing them at other people's podcasts.
Danny only has his story in this week so that he can literally ask YouTube where's our check? Where's our money? Where's our check? So here's the deal. YouTube is reportedly, and I say reportedly because I've yet to find an article that says they've actually given this money. They're also... Go ahead.
It's from The Verge, though. So, I think The Verge they're the scum of the earth, but I don't think they're lying about this particular story. They're lying about everything else.
Well, YouTube is look, what I did find, though, is YouTube is calling this a quote-unquote grant, right? They're not purchasing the show like Spotify purchased Joe Rogan and others.
They didn't purchase. They bought exclusive rights to distribute.
However you want to say it, the point is they're spending money to have that content exclusive. What this is being really portrayed as is, look, there are a bunch of people out there that are recording audio every day, podcasts, and putting it up on Anchor.fm and Apple, right, and whatever, that they're just not using a camera. Right? For whatever reason. They're just not turning on a camera. Where YouTube is looking at this because, look, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no third direction. So if YouTube can set up a system where they go, okay, all right, you're podcasting because you've got a successful or a semi-successful podcast, you should just turn on the camera. Here's a grant for $10,000, right? $50,000. Why don't you go buy the recording equipment, right? Go buy the setup equipment, go whatever. And this is probably for them a huge write-off because they're calling it a grant instead of a purchase or whatever. So they probably get to write every single one of these off, and it gets these people the ability to go, and then they get to go on YouTube and go, hey, welcome to our YouTube channel that YouTube made possible through the blah, 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 blah.
So what I think here is happening is creators like Joe Rogan left the platform. We're on YouTube. But I'm always exploring other options.
Sure.
Because
now available on Rumble as well.
Yeah, we're on Rumble. Listen, we are always exploring other options for one reason and one reason only. One day you can wake up and YouTube will say, well, you said misinformation, so you're off the platform. Right? And I think that what they're trying to do is there's a lot of people. I'm just saying there's a lot of content that I consume that is on Odyssey, that they're on Rumble. They're already positioning themselves to be like, yeah, we know this is the end of the road. Like, we're going to get axed. And I think within the next 5 years, YouTube is just going to be Cocomelon. That's all it's going to be, right? If you don't know, I have a baby nephew, but it's just kids videos.
Well,
and I don't think it's going to be anything fun anymore on YouTube.
Well, we just talked about Amazon evolving. YouTube knows it has to evolve, right? You have the new apps like TikTok and stuff like that. And if you look at all the behind the scenes stuff, YouTube just wants to turn itself into TikTok. YouTube Shorts are essentially TikToks. There's the same whatever. They're trying to add the same tools as TikToks. For example, one of their big things that they're going to release, hopefully this year, they want to release this year, is the ability for creators, especially in these kind of creators, YouTube Short creators or whatever, to answer comments with a video. In the link, right? Just like TikTok does, right? TikTok, you have a comment that says, hey, you're a jackass, you don't know what you're talking about. You can reply with a video. It's saying, I'm not a jackass, and here's why, directly to that person in the comment section, and it's all there so you can follow a discussion of topics from the creator and them that's not text-based.
If you remember early YouTube, which I do, there was video responses. Like, you could respond with a video. Yeah, like that's... And one of those reply guys was the one and only Philip DeFranco. That's how he built his following up.
Absolutely, but that used to be a thing, and then it became, and then it not. But that was also when YouTube was a much smaller community, and that's one of the ways to get. Just like radio shows used to have these beefs. Two radio shows in the same town used to have these beefs because they both got more listeners from the drama, whether it was real drama or fake drama. It didn't matter, right? So, but YouTube, I think in this way is they're just trying to evolve. They're just trying to gain, you know what I mean, more content and subscribers.
I think that if you're YouTube, you should be looking at TikTok and going, yeah, I mean, we're never going to compete in the short form vertical video content game. We're just going to continue to excel at what we do, which is longer form content, widescreen that's intended to watch on your phone or your tablet or whatever. I think it's a big mistake to try and compete with the same app because it's already like it's too jumbled. The experience becomes too jumbled to me because it's just like here I am trying to watch an hour-long video of it's not Joe Rogan but some other podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And here's a short. You can see a short of stop this. It's two different apps.
Well, I agree with you, but you're also speaking from a user, both as we post videos on YouTube and a consumer of content. However, what drives companies is, well, at least smart companies, is revenue, right? Revenue drives what they do. And if you look at time spent on, again, let's just stick with TikTok. It's insane when you compare to how old the technology is, which is not old, right? Still, TikTok is still relatively new, less than 2 years, right? Since its massive jump. And the time spent on TikTok versus YouTube, where the time spent on YouTube is lessening, and lessening. Time on TikTok is increasing exponentially. You got a company like YouTube that goes, well, why is this, right? And so I think their mentality right now is to compete directly.
Yeah.
Versus,
and their mentality, which is here's what's the roundabout of what's going to happen. It's going to create fatigue. Okay, I don't know about you, but I have a flip phone in my office, and I put a SIM card in it because I wanted a new phone number. I wanted a San Antonio number, so I put a SIM card in it, and it works. And I'm like, why do I have this thing tracking my every move, telling me you've been on the phone too long, you should take a break? Shut up.
Look, here's the deal though. The problem with a TikTok, the problem with, in my opinion, a lot of Instagram, a lot of this stuff, YouTube is uniquely set up for what we call evergreen content. Right? Yes. Meaning that I can go on right now to YouTube, find a video of how to work on my refrigerator model, and that may be made from 7 years ago, but it's still relevant. That's called evergreen content. You can't put evergreen content on TikTok. It's not long enough to explain anything. Or, so people go to TikTok to see the new video, not a video from 3 weeks ago or 6 months ago or whatever. It's why TikTok may be set up to fail ultimately. The amount of new content that it needs to feed these people without getting bored is insane.
Well, maybe the goal of the company isn't to grow, it's to destroy society. And TikTok might be doing that.
But Danny's not a conspiracy theorist. He says that constantly.
Not. We like talking about YMH, Your Mom's House, and at the end of every episode, Christina P. curates TikToks. And when I see her curations, I go, oh, we're at the end of our society. This is it.
Well, I would love to see the quote-unquote terms and conditions of these quote-unquote grants. Right. And the reason I say that is because if you're YouTube, let's just say Danny is YouTube, right? You've seen over the years of YouTube, you've seen the Paul brothers, you've seen Joe Rogan, you've seen a whole bunch of people use your platform to create these massive audience, and then ultimately, leave and go somewhere else.
Well, because if you're Joe Rogan, if you're Logan Paul, and you build that massive audience, you realize you have no ownership of it because they're coming to you through YouTube's portal. and you have no ownership of your audience, and you have to do something to own your audience. So that's why. And the other thing too is, hey, YouTube says, hey, the Vitali. There was a YouTube prankster named Vitali got arrested at the Brazilian soccer or something or other. I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
But the point is, he was doing all this wacky stuff, and YouTube kept giving him strikes and said, blah blah blah, you can't do this anymore. Well, he went off platform. He created his own platform, and he said, I started making even more money, and I can even do crazier stuff because you had a million plus subscribers, you had 150,000 loyal viewers every episode, every video, but you could take those 100,000 people and snap your finger and go to an OTT setup where it's like where you can just go and own the consumer, and they subscribe for $3 a month, and all of a sudden you're $300,000 a month, and you take the snippets of it and put it back on YouTube, and you can make money that way too.
Right. But look, YouTube, but you had to have YouTube to reach that initial audience, right?
Yeah.
YouTube being free for you is the platform,
Huge.
the start out platform, right? Yeah. So maybe as YouTube, they're like, this kind of sucks, right?
Right.
Because look, when you make money on YouTube, YouTube's making even more, right? So
and the quandary that they're in is, how do we create what I'm putting words in their mouth, right? How does Susan Wojcicki, I think that's the CEO's name, how does she create this safe environment with acceptable content, blah, blah, blah? Which, by the way, I mean, as the conflict broke out in Eastern Europe, CNN cuts away to an Applebee's commercial. Everyone's like, a lot of people saw this and were like,
I heard about this.
Right. So what I'm bringing this up to say, hey, like CNN can monetize horrifying stuff, and that is deemed acceptable by the consumer because, like, yeah, there's a war breaking out, right? But Amazon's got to pay the bills. But if you and I start saying certain words, we're demonetized because that's unacceptable. Hey, I'm more legitimate than CNN. Let me just put that out there. I am more legitimate than CNN when it comes to information and news.
No, but see, it's a double-edged sword because, again, YouTube should be able to impose whatever they want as far as rules, but at the same time, you can have the best widget in the world if you sell widgets, but if you never go to a conference that has rules and has people there to buy them, if you're just selling them out of your house and nobody ever learns about your widget, you sell zero, and it's the most useful widget in the world, right? So YouTube has people that go to it every single day looking
He's
for
talking
content.
About a knife, by the way. Knives are very useful widgets. So
I'm just saying, whatever it may be, whatever you're peddling, if you don't have someone to buy it, it doesn't matter how good it is, right?
Correct.
The original, the owner, the old guy, the colonel that at KFC, his first restaurant failed. He didn't know what the hell he was doing, right? So he had good chicken, obviously KFC's amazing chicken. I'm just saying the original recipe is good stuff, right?
I'm a Chick-fil-A guy, but okay.
Okay, well, they put sugar in their batter, so that's why you're a Chick-fil-A. That's why you and everybody else in America is Chick-fil-A people, because they literally put sugar in the batter. But anyway,
that's all it took. That's all it took. Hey, one of my life's goals is to be a Kentucky Colonel, but let's move on to this next.
Anyway,
story.
Go ahead.